My kids made a decision. I think they all got together or had a three-way conversation or something, and they all said, you know what, we think Coach B is having too much fun. He's enjoying his job too much, and I don't think he appreciates us. So we're going to give him a hard time today, and we're not going to listen, and we're going to make doing work impossible. And that's exactly what they did. It was almost impossible to teach them. Tuesday was a tough day. It was a tough day.
Hey, Coach B!
Pulled out some write-ups. I didn't have to write anybody up. I don't know if I didn't write them up because they weren't that bad, or if I didn't do it because I was too exhausted at the end of saying. I didn't yell because I don't yell. I learned that after first 5 years of teaching. I learned yelling is ineffective because I did it all my first 5 years. In 2010, 2015. That's all God, let me have to say it again. No, it's just too much work. So I've learned now, even the Bible says,
that a soft answer turns away wrath.
I didn't know that Paul and them knew about instructional leadership. What? No one told me that you didn't have to yell in a classroom to get a kid's attention.
That a soft answer turns away wrath.
And it does. So yeah, Tuesday was one of those days. Because I was ready to call parents. It wasn't going to be a professional phone call. It was going to be one of them.
Okay, hey, let me tell you about your child. Hey, I'm sorry, this Coach B, you don't even know who I am. This Coach B from the place, the school, the place, whatever it is, that shall not be mentioned. Need your child in here cutting up, and I need you to come get her. I'll be able to travel home by car, by bus, or on foot. But they need to come on right now, because I can take them home, and I'm getting ready to hurt your baby. And I would hate for this child to come up missing. But where I come from, we didn't make children disappear. And your child finna be one of them if you don't come get him.
Y'all let him teach y'all kids.
I would never actually call home like that, and I wouldn't suggest that y'all do that. Y'all have to watch me at your own discretion. Everything I say, you gotta know my personality. Sometimes I'm talking junk, like if I say I'm gonna bust you in your face, that's me talking junk. And then there are times where I'm sharing wisdom. That was a junk talking moment. Don't do that.
Okay.
So when I'm teaching my PLN class, I found out the group of teachers that I work with are all either what we call first years, which they're in their first to third year of teaching. So they're all brand spanking new, all learning how to teach. So we had this meeting, and I was conveying to them, I'm saying this to you because it's so important, because I think we all forget it because we're so busy doing lesson plans, talking to parents, principals, whatever, we forget this important matter. Kids are kids, and they come from different areas and different home lives. Behavior, number one, is not grown. It's picked up. It's learned. It's not something that is just put in us. It's something that we kind of are molded into over time. Our kids respond to us based on what they have been through, and based on where they come from. And a lot of the issue as well is they don't know how to deal with whatever it is they're dealing with, and we have to be patient with that. And that's where you and I had this responsibility, pulling something from my girl, Dr. Rosenberg in Canada, whose book I told y'all about. You have to teach behavior, and I have to teach morals. There are some important factors, I actually put it in my phone earlier, but there are some important factors that we have to make sure we bring up to these kids, or to our students, so they can learn it, so that we can change the way they handle things. Like I was telling them, if we fuss at them or we yell at them, it's not going to be effective. Yes, they get on our nerves. Yes, they bother us. As Rita Pierce has said, Kids don't learn from people they don't like. So we need to create a state of oneness in our classroom where they feel like they're supported and they can come talk to us. And no matter what happens, we teach anyway. You know, that's what we do. That's what we're hired for. We're there to teach. We're not there, you know, to raise perfect children. We're not there for them to like us all the time. But we do need to create an environment where they feel like they can be themselves. And sometimes that may mean being something that we don't want them to be at that moment. Okay, they're going to cut up, yes, but we have to teach those what some schools call character traits, like forgiveness, patience, reasoning, listening. Some of our kids don't know how to reason. They don't know how to consider their own thinking or be metacognitive, which is something I taught my kids early on. As soon as I stepped foot in my classroom, one of the first things I taught my kids was, we're going to be metacognitive for the rest of the year. I don't just want y'all to just put answers on the paper. I don't just want y'all to just say something off the top of your head, you know, when I ask you a question. Don't raise your hand and say, banana, you know. Be metacognitive. Think about your thinking. Why do I think this is the answer? Let's pull from contextual evidence. You know, after our midterm next week, we're going to learn about justification of thinking. You know, let's justify your thinking with some factors. You know, all of those things have to be trained. So I said all that in closing because I'm about to leave you alone. But you have to remember, when your kids cut out, it's not that they don't like you or that they hate your guts. You know, it's just they're being children. And if I don't want to stop chewing gum at that moment, I don't want to stop chewing gum. I don't need you to yell at me about chewing gum. I got a lot going on already. You yelling at me about this gum, to me, is pointless. And because I don't see how it's an issue, I'm going to argue you down. And a lot of times as teachers, another thing that we do, we argue with our kids. And you find yourself frustrated because you're selling out to a kid. I'm a grown behind man. Why am I arguing with a child? Going back and forth about whatever it is. That is stupid. And I'm stupid for arguing with a 14-year-old about their phone or a 17-year-old. I don't even argue with adults. If that is what you believe as an adult, then I leave it be and I explain why I believe what I believe or why I feel the way I feel, and you take it or leave it. With our students, it's not that easy. We have to explain why things are not the way they are. You know, we don't do this because of this. And if we did that, this is what would happen, and this is why we don't want that to happen. Explain it. A lot of the times your kids cut up because they don't understand why they can't cut up. You don't run down the hallway because you could run into somebody, you could seriously injure yourself. You don't drive on ice because you could slide somewhere, or you don't slam dunk in the basketball goal because you could break it. You don't hang from the rim because you could break that too. You don't run on the bleachers because you could trip and bust your lip open. You know, they don't think like that. And I remember my girl Val Brown up in Florida, and I remember telling her on Twitter one time, and I said, Val, I don't get it. These kids are just doing things that are just stupid. I mean, it's not even, it's just stupid stuff. Like, why are we doing stupid stuff? And she said something that will always stick with me. And then I'm done. I'm going to start with you and I leave you alone. She said, James, you have to remember, kids do not think long term. They have this narrow-minded approach. They think about right now, and that is it. They don't think long term. That is all she said. It is the most brilliant thing I've ever heard, because you know what? You don't think about it until you really think about it. Which probably makes no sense, but it just never crossed my mind. Oh yeah, these are kids. I work with children, so that is what I do. So remember that. Before you get frustrated, before you get all mad and in your feelings, you're teaching kids. They're kids. They're going to do stupid stuff. They're going to say some off-the-wall things. Some of them are going to have potty mouths. Some of them are going to be talking about stuff they have no business talking about. But they're still kids. They're talking about that because they believe it's cool. Our job is to guide and correct and help them understand why it is not cool and how we need to redirect our attention. But the first chief example setter they have is their parents, and then it's us. So if all we do is yell and holler at our kids, we're going to continue to be ineffective. It's time for us to start teaching the behavior we want to see. I've always said excellence must first be obtained before it can be demanded. I'm just saying. I see y'all next week.